Hey everyone, my name's Dom, welcome back to the channel, and today it's time for another tag video. This is one I genuinely never thought I would do, so let's go find out what it is. So this tag video is the Golden Girls tag, and I was tagged by the lovely Grace. I'll link her channel and video in the description box down below. So I've seen this tag done by several of the channels that I subscribe to, and I've looked at them and thought this does not really relate to me and it doesn't relate to the books that I read, so fortunately I'll be able to avoid this one. But when Grace tagged me and I watched her video, she said such lovely things about me that I couldn't really not do this. It would be rude of me to ignore it. So well done, Grace, you've guilted me into this. So a quick disclaimer regarding this, I do have an awareness of the Golden Girls, and that is literally as far as it goes. So my thumbnail was a bit of a joke. I don't really think this is a James Bond tag, but I just thought I'd put my own little spin on it, as Grace suggested in her video. Now I mentioned that this tag doesn't really relate to my reading tastes as well. That's because I predominantly read epic fantasy. So I'm going to have a little bit of leeway here and there on some of the questions, and one of those is really going to be in the definitions, because each of these questions, as is the norm for a book tag, they ask for a single book, and for most instances you might find that I give a series instead of a single book. So with that intro out of the way, let's go see what the questions are like. So question one is Blanche, and that's a book that explores sexuality and relationships. And this is one of the answers that I'm going with the book series, and that's The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. So in here we're dealing with predominantly a group of young characters. We've got Rand and Matt and Perrin, Gwen and Nynaeve, or however you pronounce their names if it's different to me. And as kind of late teenagers, they are going to spend some time in these books exploring their sexuality, building and exploring and breaking, in some instances, relationships, both amongst that group and other characters who become involved in the story as the 14 books progress. So plenty of it in here, and lots more to get your teeth into outside of the sexuality and relationship side of things as well. Question two is Rose, a book that reminds me of where I grew up, and I literally do not have this. The place that I grew up, it's not really a memorable place anyway. There's nothing really there. It really means nothing to me as well. And to be honest, I've really kind of blocked out a lot of my early childhood because they're not generally happy memories for me. So the book that I've chosen here though is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. This one is one of my unhappy memories actually. My parents separated when I was young, and when I was about 10, 11 years old, I borrowed my dad's copy of The Lord of the Rings, and I was reading it one night, and my stepdad found out that I was reading and went in a fit of rage basically because I had a light on and was using electricity. So he tore the book out of my hands, tore it up and threw it in the bin. So that's just an example really of some of the childhood memories that I do have, not very happy ones, which is why I've really kind of taken pains to block a lot of them out, I guess. But this one, The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, I'm going to put it down now because I'm getting out of breath just holding this brick up. Question three is Dorothy, a book that made me feel smarter. And I guess this is one of the real ones that doesn't, or at least in my eyes, doesn't really suit the genre that I read, epic fantasy. So one of the rare books that I've read outside of that in my adult life is going to be my answer to this one. And it's Christopher Paolini's To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. This one being a sci-fi, for me it does give a bit more relevance to the question, but this book in particular, there's quite a lot of background information on it. There's a lot of appendices, there's a lot of additional research that appears to have gone into the book and is included in the extras at the end of the book. Things like space travel, faster than light, that sort of thing. So it's quite interesting, and it does give you the opportunity to kind of be a little bit smarter if you read them. I don't know how much actual science is in those little sections and how much of it is artistic license or just completely made up by the author, but it sounds good anyway, and it comes across in the books as well where those little bits are mentioned. So it's a really good job in that sense for this one. Question four is Sophia, a book featuring a character giving their life story. So for this one I've chosen an autobiography, kind of. It's Assassin's Apprentice, book one of the Farseer by Robin Hobb. This one, if you don't know, involves a character called Fitz. It's in the first person and it's him basically giving his life story over the course of this series, or along with The Realm of the Elderlings, the extended series. I've not read all of them yet, so I'm not sure entirely how far through the story we continue getting his life story, but there we go. It's a good book, this one. I haven't got into the next one as yet, but it is on my radar. I do have a copy of it ready to go whenever I myself am ready for it. Alright, the next two questions I'm going to kind of paraphrase a little bit, because I'll link in the cards above my 20 questions tag that I did recently, which actually covers both of these. So book 6 is Stanley, a book that I love to hate, and I'm going to go for Miles Cameron's The Red Knight, because it is just a book that I really disliked, and as I said in that 20 questions tag, I'm pretty happy to give it a good old talk if you get me in the mood and if you ask me the right questions. So I guess that is, for me, the definition of a book that I love to hate. But to be honest, it's actually the only one that I can really think of, because I don't generally tend to hate books, which can only be a good thing as far as I'm concerned. And then question 6 was Cheesecake. We're just kind of going into random words now for the start of our questions, but this is a book that I love to read and read and read. So as far as rereads go, as I said in that 20 questions tag, I don't really do them, but I am rereading at the moment with the Library of Alexandria, the Shadows of the Apt series. So next up in that series, now we've finished Empire in Black and Gold, is book 2, Dragonfly Falling. So that one gets the nod again for this question. Question 7 then is Golden. This is a book exploring aging and the golden years. And for this one, I'm going to go with the classic story of the aging process, and that is Legend by David Gemmell. This one features one of my favourite characters, actually. That is Dross, often called Dross the Legend or Deathwalker. He's an aging warrior, and although this is the first book in the series and the introduction to Dross and to the Draenei series that Legend is a part of, this is actually really in the twilight years of Dross's life. So we are looking at the aging process. We're looking at an old warrior going out for one last fling with death before he passes. It's a great book, and if you haven't read it and you get the opportunity to, I definitely recommend it. And then question 8 is Thank You for Being a Friend, a book involving a strong group of friends. So for me on this one, I've gone with strong in both senses. I'll try and keep that out of the light a little bit, but this is the Icewind Dale trilogy. So again, it's a series rather than an individual book, and it's by R.A. Salvatore. Starts off with The Crystal Shard. So this is a series involving a really close-knit group of friends who I think they were called the Companions of the Hall in kind of later books in the series. So this is kind of the opening gambit really of R.A. Salvatore's stories of Drizzt Do'Urden, the famous kind of legendary really dark elf, and this one is actually, I think, my favourite character in fantasy. This is certainly in publication order. This is the first. There are some prequel novels which deal with the kind of the earlier years of Drizzt Do'Urden and how he came to meet the characters in these books. But this one, starting off with The Crystal Shard, and you got some of the characters on the front. So you got the Dark Elf Drizzt, Bruna Battlehammer the Dwarf, Wulfgar the Barbarian. You've also then got Catti-brie and Regis. So Catti-brie is the human, kind of adopted daughter of Bruna, and Regis is a halfling who, well, he's got a gem. Look at that lovely cover. You don't get artwork like that on books these days, do you? So these ones, it's a really strong group of friends because they are great warriors, but as I said, they're also close-knit. So it's a strong group of friends in both senses, really, of the term. So there we go. That is the Golden Girls tag. Done it. Completed it. What's next? So I suppose there is really, as always on these tags, an extra question at the end, which is tagging someone. But I know a lot of people have already done this tag, so I'm not going to invite people specifically to do so. If you haven't done this tag and you want to, though, obviously knock yourselves out. As I said on my last tag, you know, everyone's free. You don't need to actually be specifically tagged to do one of these videos if it's something that floats your boat. So for the usual wrap up, let me know in the comments down below if you've got any thoughts on the titles that I chose for my answers today. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already done and you want to, subscribe to this channel and you can follow me along on my booktube journey. That's all for now, so take care of yourselves, read some good books, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye bye.